In this e-learning, we're going to show you how to use images in WiseOption. First, let's talk a little bit about the requirements for the images module in WiseOption. The images is available on the version 3.2.10 or higher, and you will need to install reports.exe over in all terminals. So don't forget to install reports.exe version 2.0 on all terminals as well as on the server. For that, you're going to need to download the latest version of the reports.exe, and the first thing I'm going to show you is where you can get it. So if you visit WiseOption, the manual, if you go to www.wiseoption.com/manual and you open the session, the chapter where you see the setup and troubleshooting, the second lesson is going to be how to add new terminals, and there you will find the link to download the latest version of the reports.exe tools. The reports.exe does not carry the program, WiseOption the program, nor the database. It's only a library with components and tools for you to run WiseOption from different terminals. So you can copy the link or simply use the shortcut. When setting WiseOption for local networks, you also will need to give privileges to read, write, and delete files on WiseOption folder. That's a requirement. And we are here assuming that you have previous knowledge about image management, how to handle images. It's out of scope for this e-learning, how to bring files from your digital camera or how to convert your documents into PDF files, Adobe Acrobat. So we are assuming that you already have skills on those topics. What are the types of files you can import in WiseOption? JPEG, JPG, GIF or GIF, GIF. Some people say GIF, some people say GIF. BMP, PNG, and also, that's a nice thing, you're going to have the chance to store your documents, the Adobe Acrobat PDF files. First, let's show you how to add images into the program. I'm going to open WiseOption here. I'm going to go to the horse file. Let's grab a fake horse here for this example. Let's say Hope by Envy. You're going to find this new button over here, the horse images. When you click there, you're going to have the viewer with a collection of images. Currently it's empty. I'm going to add the first image. I'm going to click on the button to add a new image. And the form for you to add a new image pops up. And you're going to grab from the source where you have your digital file. So I'm going to grab, for this example, I'm not worried about images. I'm going to copy some of the images we already have in WiseOption. And here you will see also the source file, the entire path, and you can point to a certain category. Let's say that this is an identification picture. Pick one, identification for my horse. This field here, you can put up to 100 characters. Here is my comments. And this field here, you can put up to 300 characters. I'm going to save this. The image is now saved. So you see that the image is over here. Okay? So this is how you, as simple as that, you add images to your horse files. Next, let's talk a little bit about the categories. I'm going to add a new picture, image categories. I'm going to add a new picture. This time I'm going to try to bring a PDF file. I'm going to get WiseOption's license agreement as an example. I'm going to open that, and I'm going to pretend that this is a contract. So I have the contracts, breeding contract, sample of a contract in PDF format. All right. I'm going to save this. But the category is the focus for my point here. So you could have different categories. We are giving a few suggestions, but you can handle those categories. I'm going to add this image. And as you see here on top, you have the chance to say, okay, I want to see only the contracts, or I want to see only the identification, the images. You can have a collection of pictures, and like any other drop-down list box in ImagesOverview, all images, you have all the images. You have a shortcut where you can add images. I'm going to add an image. I'm going to say image category, actually. I'm going to say test sample. Okay, test sample is now in my list. If you want to change the name, you can say extra comment, and you're going to see that it is there. It is there, but now I can simply remove that category, and that category is no longer in my list. When you update the name, don't worry about the links with the images already used, because ImagesOverview uses a relationship database, which means that everything that is linked to that category will be automatically updated. And let's say, just like I deleted that category I just entered, it was possible because there was no image associated to that category. I know that I have one here to the contracts. Look what happens if I try to remove this one. It's not possible because I have something associated to that category. Okay, so the category is pretty nice because you have a really big field to explore as far as, you know, getting your hard copies and converting them to actually digital images. And imagine all the things you can do with this. So it would be much simpler for you to use those digital instead of those copies you have on the hard file. Okay. Full screen viewer. The full screen works like this. You grab a picture. Let's say I want to see this picture. You simply double click on the image, and it's going to be a full image. You can zoom in, zoom out. You can change the size. You can select a particular part of the image with your mouse, and it will zoom on that. If you close here, so double click, and you can fit your screen, see one page, original size, give some zoom, or go for a mouse to use the zoom tool. The same works for the PDF documents. So you're going to have extra options down here. So let's say that you want to see page number 4, and you go to page number 4. If you double click, the page number 4 will be on your screen, and also here on top you're going to have extra options. And say, now I want to go to page number 15. There is page 15. You can go to the previous or next, and the same concept. See one page, original size, zoom in and out, and this is how you do it. Okay, so this is the full screen. Double click on the image that you see on the viewer. The default image. Okay, you can select one image to be the default one. Let me add a new image to this horse file. I'm going to this time open one of the hospital wallpaper, just to say that this is a picture and a hospital image sample set as default. I'm going to save this. Look what happens when I open the horse file for my horse here. I see one image, but now I'm going to select the HR1, and I'm going to use this button down here to set as the default. Next time I open the same horse image collection, the default image is a different one. So you can point or select one of the images as the default. the PDF viewer can have different options, not only on the full screen. So if we grab the breeding contract as my example, I showed you on the full screen. So the PDF viewer gives you these options here, but not only here. You also have the chance to operate them from here. So you can fit, do one page, original size, zoom in, zoom out. And over here on this one, it's going to work also with the mouse selection. So if you grab only a piece of the document, it's going to zoom, and you could say, okay, view one page, or you could click again to have the image selected and everything. So the PDF viewer is pretty nice for your documents. Back to our slides. Next. Where are the images? Well, we do not store those images into the database. Actually, WiseOption will have a subfolder. When you go to the Program Files, into WiseOptions folder, you will now see a new subfolder called Images. And we create other subfolders under Images for the year and then for the month. So let's say at the end of 2008, if you add images every month, you're going to have from 01 through 12, 12 months in a year. That's a Microsoft recommendation, but just to show where the images are, because we don't have the images in the database. And when we add the image to the folder, you're going to see a very weird name here. That name is just to make sure it's done through the code in WiseOption, so you don't have to worry about that. But the idea here is to avoid duplicates. And like I said, you don't have to worry about the management of those names and folder, because WiseOption will be taking care of that for you. If you want to know where the document is and the name for that particular image, you just use Tools, and you just ask for the option that says where is the actual file name and location. When you click there, it will give you, it prompts the entire location as well as the name of the file for you over here. Back to our slides. How to copy an image. Well, I have this image over here selected, and I would like to email this image to my customer. I'm going to click on Tools, and I'm going to copy this image to my, let's say, my local computer. I'm going to put this on my local hard disk, and I'm going to give this a name, sample of a copy. And I save this. So now I'm going to use my program, and if I go to my local disk, I should have a sample of a copy. If I double click on that, it's opening a tool that will give me the reader, and it's using this time the I'm going to decline this, but you get the idea. The whole idea here is that's going to be opening the Adobe Acrobat Reader so you can see the document out of WiseOption. All you have to do from this point here is to open your Outlook or Outlook Express, the email tool, attach the image, the file, to your email, and you can send a copy to your customer. This is a copy, therefore the original image remains on the server, so you don't have to worry. Once you email this copy, you can simply delete it. Back to our slides. How to update the labels. Let's open WiseOption again, and you can give extra information. So let's say for this image here, HR, set as default, and I'm going to put this one as the default. Therefore, this one is no longer the default, and I want to change this information here. I'm going to update that. Actually, I'm going to close, select that one, and update image. There you go. And set as default is going to be no longer the default. Just to show you how to update the labels, but actually you're going to use more related information to the image that you need. Okay, so this is how you update an image. Back to the slides. how to delete an image. I'm done with this one, and I want to remove this image. Are you sure? Yes. Double confirmation required. Do you confirm? Yes. So image is no longer in my list, nor in Wise Option folder. So now the image is deleted. Simply select one, click on the Remove button, and the image is gone. However, some problems might happen when you're trying to delete an image. That means to delete an image, the file cannot be locked, and Windows locks up the file every time somebody is using that file. Especially if you are on a network, if somebody else is using the file or viewing the file, you will not be able to delete the file. Also, we use the Wise Option image logo, and let me show you what I'm talking about. Do you see this image over here? The image, well, the first rule I mentioned was that the file cannot be locked. If we are looking at the image, if we are viewing the image, the file is locked. So Wise Option, when you select an image, when you try to remove, the first thing Wise Option will try to do is to bring this logo here for to release the version you're trying to delete and set is free for the deletion. So now that this is what it does, I'm going to show you where that image is. If we get back here to Wise Option, and we go to the bottom, this is the image, Wise Option image logo. So please do not delete or remove this file, because if you do so, when you're trying to remove, you might get an error releasing or setting the image that you're trying to delete free. And finally, we also need to make sure that all the images are set its property read-only off. So if the image is set as read-only, you might not be able to delete that image. When can that happen? Well, sometimes, especially when you move Wise Option to a new server, for instance. This is an example how the read-only property can be triggered. So if you move the files to the new server, in that operation to move the files, you can set the property. Windows sometimes does that for you automatically and set the image as read-only. So just make sure that all images are set not as read-only. So you can remove, delete, write those images through the Wise Option image tool. Image collections. There are 3 different places you can enter images in Wise Option. Through the horse file, through the patient file, if you have the hospitalization module, and also related to the hospitalization module, you can add images to the hospitalization record, to the actual hospitalization record to the patient. Let's take a quick look at those. So these images here are associated, and for you to see the difference where you are, you're going to notice a difference up here on top in the form label. So here is the horse file. I'm going to open the same horse, but this time from the hospital module, and I'm going to get that as a patient. I also have a button here for patient images. You're going to see that the label is different. Now it shows the Hope by Inf as a hospital record patient. And I'm going to add an image here just for us to see the difference. I'm going to say Program Files, Wise Option. Let me grab something different here. I'm going to pick the image 3. They look pretty much the same, but the point is that I'm going to say this is a radiograph. HR radiograph through patient file. No comments. Save. Okay, so we have that image here. I'm going to close all these things here. I'm going to return to that same horse, Hope by Inv, horse image, and we don't have it. However, I would like to see all the images, no matter where I am. So you can see the images only for that section you are in the system, but you could also say, okay, look for all possible related images. And that would then bring me that radiograph through the patient file. The same works for the hospitalization record. So let's say that I'm in the summary card, and I'm going to have the button right here for images. So digital x-rays, ultrasounds, blood work that you convert into PDF files. If you want to add those to your hospitalization record, you will see that this is empty. So the images will be associated to that particular hospitalization record, and you see the difference here on top again. The patient, and this time it's going to show the hospitalization record number for you to identify the difference. And the same rule applies, where you can look for different images in all the three sections, and WiseOption will pull out those for you. So a few suggestions in your image management. Nowadays, the digital cameras are providing much higher resolution, so you can have 7, 8, sometimes 10 megapixels. And of course, the size of those images will be pretty large. Just be careful for you not to run out of space on your hard drives. You might not need much space in your hard drive as far as having WiseOptions database, but with the image management and the horizon that you have available for you to explore all the different documents, registration papers, Cognizant test, and all those sort of documents, markings, and even pictures, show pictures, whatever you want to put there. So that's going to be, it's going to require a much larger hard drive space on your server. And don't forget to back up your files. The auto backup in the morning does not include the images. So when you are burning CDs and DVDs, you certainly will have to put the images in a separate option to back up, especially for using CDs or DVDs, because by the time you're going to have a large amount of digital files that are not possible or will not fit on a CD or DVD. So just keep those in mind, and everything should be just fine. So this was the WiseOption images, and we hope you enjoyed this new feature, and thank you for choosing WiseOption.